Dr. Jeffrey, the footage and the videos, the pictures that are coming out from the U.S. State Department showing that a small boat is approaching one of the oil tankers and trying to scrape off something from the side of it, that it has Iranian soldiers. Is this evidence enough right now, at this point, to warrant U.S.'s strategy on building up forces in the Middle East?
Well, yes and no. On the one hand, it's fairly clear evidence that the Iranians have actually, as accused, been responsible for mining the tankers. But that's a different question, whether or not that justifies the military buildup. Part of the reason why the world is questioning this is because of the lack of credibility of the Trump administration in previous episodes. So there are really multiple aspects to this. On the one hand, the Iranians are testing out where the red lines really are. Mm-hmm. And the fact that the Trump administration, the president himself, has said that he doesn't want a war, has described his advisors of misleading him, etc. Mm-hmm. And even yesterday, describing these attacks on the tankers as really not being sufficient enough evidence to go to war. You've got a situation where, unfortunately, tensions are still rising at the same time when the U.S. president is sending conflicting signals.
He is sending conflicting signals, which is really adding to this sort of the tensions escalating here. Like, for example, yesterday during an interview to the Time magazine, he said that he would do anything, even go to war with Iran, if it meant stopping them from getting armed with nuclear weapons.
That's correct. So it's really difficult to ascertain, if you're an Iranian analyst or the supreme leader himself, where the U.S. red lines really are. And so miscalculation can actually lead directly to conflict here, an exchange of fire that could rapidly escalate and get right into an armed conflict, which would be sustained and, for the Iranians, quite negative in the end. So it's really dangerous.
But at the same time, he's come out and said, not just President Trump has said this, but different senior U.S. officials have come out and said that we don't want a war with Iran. We are not interested in fighting. Their allies have come out and said that. Is this just posturing? Because it is just 1,000 troops. That's not much to fight a war with a country like Iran, is it?
Well, on the other hand, you have other assets in the region, in the Gulf itself, primarily Air Force and naval. So the kind of attack that would take place would not be essentially something about occupying Iran. Mm-hmm. There isn't time for that, and that is one of the reasons why the Iranians themselves are skeptical that the U.S. will actually go through with this. So the conflicting signals are actually more dangerous. Here in the second phase, when supposedly tensions are down somewhat, the ability for miscalculation to lead to an exchange of fire is greater. On the one hand, the president, if he really didn't want war, should probably consistently apply pressure to persuade the Iranians that if they lob missiles around or bomb tankers, that could lead to a U.S. attack. By saying that he doesn't want these things and that these attacks on the tankers are insufficient to go to war, that leads the Iranians to be more brazen and to test where the red lines are, and therefore potentially bring about war when in fact both sides don't actually